Hey, what up, family? This is Joe, No Picks Podcast.
Hey, what up, family? This is Side checking in. What's up?
Hey, what's goody? We back at it. About to get active again. We're gonna react to a clip. This one's gonna be a doozy, right? So we're gonna let the clip rock out, and then after we watch it, it might be about 2.5 minutes, just so we can really get the information and let it digest. We're gonna talk about it, right? But it's definitely a controversial topic. So I'm gonna leave it at that. All right. So we're gonna let it rock out, and we're gonna talk about this. So we have not. I haven't seen this, so it's gonna be a fresh reaction. So let's see what it's hitting for.
Good.
Here we go.
Did a lot of data. We collected millions of observations on everyday use of force that wasn't lethal. We collected thousands of observations on lethal force. And it was in this moment in 2016 that I realized people lose their minds when they don't like the result. So what my paper showed, you'll see tomorrow, like some of you, was that, yes, we saw some bias in the low-level uses of force, every day pushing up against cars and things like that. People seem to like that result, but we didn't find any racial bias in police shootings. Now, that was really surprising to me because I expected to see it. The little known fact is I had 8 full-time RAs that it took to do this over nearly a year. When I found this surprising result, I hired 8 fresh ones and redid it to make sure. They came up with the same exact answer, and I thought it was robust. And I went to go give it, and my God, all hell broke loose. It was a 104-page, dense academic economics paper with a 150-page appendix, okay? It was posted for 4 minutes when I got my first email. This is full of shit. Doesn't make any sense. And I wrote back, how'd you read it that fast? That's amazing. You are a genius. And I had colleagues take me to the side and say, don't publish this. You'll ruin your career. I said, what are you talking about? I said, what's wrong with it? Do you believe the first part? Yes. Do you believe the second part? Well, the issue is they just don't fit together. We like the first one, but you should publish the second one another time. I said, let me ask this. If the second part about the police shootings, this is a literal conversation. I said to them, if the second part showed bias, do you think I should publish it then? And they said, yeah, then it would make sense. And I said, I guarantee you I'll publish it. We'll see what happens. So it was, I lived under police protection for about 40 days. I had a 7-day-old daughter at the time. I remember going and shopping for it because, when you have a newborn, you think you have enough diapers, you don't. So I was going to the grocery store to get diapers with an armed guard. It was crazy. I collect.
Bro.
Bruh.
Yeah.
Roland Fryer, Professor Fryer.
From fucking Harvard.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. So what are your Oh, good lord. All right. So let's not get canceled this episode. All right. So I'm filtering all my thoughts now. I'm like, all right. We gotta have this conversation. But good lord, what are your initial thoughts, man?
I mean, listen, I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
Now, my personal opinion was that would be the case. Like I always thought that if you like ran the numbers and looked at scenarios and whatever, however the police people do the numbers and stuff like that, it wouldn't show any like crazy bias. Now, if you took us from this time now in 2024 and took us back to let's say in the 90s, early 2000s, 80s, 60s, that time, I'm sure if they did this study, it would show severe, biases. Mm-hmm. But I don't think so. We've talked about this before. I don't think that there's some kind of conspiracy against Black people in particular. Like I've never believed that. I know I've seen a couple instances where certain situations were egregious. Like I'm not the things that made national news, I don't dispute that. I don't say, hey, this didn't happen. I agree. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. This shouldn't have happened. And it probably wouldn't have happened if the people were black, if the people were white, right? However, I think those cases are very far in between. I think what normally happens is that we take those cases and extrapolate it out to everyday situations. So then when like you look at a Floyd what's the dude, George Floyd situation, and you're like, oh, that happened to George Floyd. Oh, wait a minute. When that cop told me to get out the street, he was white. I'm black. God damn it. Must be racism. I just think we're quick, like we talked about this before. As black people, we're really quick to say, hey, if someone says something to us that, first of all, you don't even have to be another race. If you could be black, if you're black and you're a cop and you say something to a black person, you're an Uncle Tom.
Right.
So it's just people don't like authority, right? Cops are easy to point at and be like, hey, you know what? You guys are effed up people, right? And that's just what it is, right? Because they have authority to make certain decisions. And if you don't like those decisions, then you just try to grab at whatever you can, right? A Karen would be like, oh, you know what? I'm a woman. And if a chick with blue hair that's, LGBTQ would be like, oh, well, you see them people get pulled over from LGBTQ, they'd be like, oh, well, wait, I'm so scared I'm trans. And they'd be like, ma'am, get out the car. I didn't even know you were trans. Can you get out the car? Like, but they'll say, hey, I'm trans. So, like, it's like some kind of defense. Like, oh, don't do he did this to me. He pulled me over because I'm trans. Bitch, you also drunk. How about that? You trans and you're drunk. How about that? You ran over 3 cats. I saw you. But yeah, so that's my initial opinion.
Okay. Well, my initial thought is I want to read this paper now, right? Because I want to see, what the method of research was, what kind of data he was looking at. I'd like to see this 100-page appendix to see like what his sources are, because I'm very curious about it, right? But I also do understand that if there is a million police cases, right, there could maybe be, if even 5% of those happen to be, a officer using his firearm and killing an unarmed civilian, and then let's just say it happens to be a person of color. If even 5% of those cases are that's what we're gonna see. That's what's gonna go viral, right? Not the 95% of cases where people go off with a slap on the wrist or nothing or a ticket or, it's very peaceful. We can check things, but we will see, but the 5% will go viral, right? So I'm with you on that, and that we have a tendency to hone in on the super bad ones and the ones that are or could be perceived as racialized, and the media runs with it, right? But I think that's intentional though, bro. I don't think that's just human beings, because the media will swing that shit, and that'll be the headline, and they'll just keep fanning that fuel and that polarization of the people and us versus the cops and all. Like I honestly feel like the media does its part to fuel that fire. You know what I mean? To that division, but
and they're good at their job. They're really good at it.
Right. No, of course. The media is great at scaring the crap out of us for anything. To do anything, like the media will do that easily, right? That's why I stopped watching cable news a while back, because I'm like, if you watch cable news, you probably be afraid to even go outside. You know what I mean? Or you'll be afraid to walk outside watching cable news. Like, you'll think the migrants are on the corner selling drugs with the drug cartel, and you know what I mean? Like you'll think all types of stuff is happening, and they all got COVID, and they all got everything is worst case scenario, right? But no, so I'm gonna say I don't agree with the brother, but I also know that I'm not a professor, and I have not read what he's read. No, listen. What I'm saying is I want to read the paper, because I can't just say, damn.
He said the sky is blue. He said, listen, where's your facts, nigga?
listen. I gotta listen, because I'm one of those people who, for a long time, listen, till this day, I have a very negative perception of police force.
Right.
I do, and I'll be very honest about that. Now, I don't go out there like some idiots provoking them. What you gonna do? Arrest me? You gonna shoot me? I'm that's just stupid. That's just dumb. Like, bro, you should just get tased at that point. Like, tase this nigga. Like, he drawing. Like, tase this sovereign citizen for being an idiot. Like, what are you doing, bro? I wouldn't say that, but I do have that disdain for authority, for police forces. Like, I don't trust them.
Right.
And I have that. It's fueled by the hip hop.
Right.
F the police of pigs. Like, it's pretty big. Would you say that's a pretty that kind of, not hating police but disliking them is like a strong part of like the black community?
It's a part of culture.
You know what I'm saying? Like the part of the culture. I feel like it's a part of the culture now to just hate them by default.
Yeah.
Right, by default. And this brother right here, Professor Fryer, he's a brother. congrats, Harvard professor who's like, listen, I did not find any racial bias in these shootings. But you know what though, bro? Racism is also hard to prove. Would you agree with that? Like in court, it's so hard to prove
Absolutely,
racism.
I would agree with that. Yeah,
So I think that's part of the problem too, is that even if if I didn't want to give you the job because you walked in and I saw you were black and I was like, nah, fuck this nigga. You know what I mean? Like even if I could just be like, I didn't like his resume.
right.
He didn't have the relevant experience. He didn't have this. I can find any other reason to not give you the job, even if the main reason I don't want to give it to you is because you're a person of color.
But the
Right?
problem is you'll never know. That's
But that's what I'm
something
saying. Yeah.
you'll
Right.
never know. But it's also
Right. Right.
hard to prove the opposite too. It's hard to prove that I did this because you're black. We also got to address this if we're talking about stuff like this, right?
Yeah.
We got to talk about like the reality statistically about our people, bro. We make up 13% of the population, but 60% of fucking violent crime.
That's not all on our people though. That's the numbers show that, but that's not like that's not because. All right, so okay, so those are the statistics, right? So I would ask, do you think that there's something inherently flawed with, say, black folk that is that is there, are we just naturally just criminals? Like, are we naturally
I
drawn
wouldn't say
to?
that. What I would say
You know what I'm
is,
saying? Like,
we,
how do you explain that?
I think like Larry Elder mentioned, I think it's the absence of fathers. I think it's the absence of fathers because when you're a kid and you don't have a father, you keep testing those boundaries with mom, and eventually you become too big for mom to handle. Then you go out into the real world at 16, 17, 18, and you full of piss and vinegar, and you're like, okay, cool. I've been untouchable so far in my life. So now what can I do?
No.
So
I see what you're saying.
I don't think we're inherently, crime prone as far as the violent stuff goes. I just think we go unchecked because
Right.
even though mom thinks she has a firm grip at home, and I'm so scared of her and all that shit, I'm not really scared of mom. So when I go out,
Right.
when I reach these milestones, and when I keep reaching these milestones, and I'm like, okay, cool. Now I'm 17. The stuff that I did when you've seen black moms laugh at shit that their badass kids do, and kind of you've seen it. That's not some shit I'm making up.
Right.
I've seen it. I thought, bro, like they just, oh well, hey, fuck you, mom. They'd be like, shut up, Ricky, ha ha. Like they try to make you as the parent laugh with them, right? They'd be like, oh, we and you be sitting there like texting on your phone, like texting you whoever, like this bitch is crazy, like she just.
I know.
But they can't. The problem is they can't handle that boy at a certain age. We talked about this 1,000 times, right? This ain't nothing new.
Right.
You can't handle that boy, and that boy knows that. So even if he plays nice with you, once he goes out into the real world and plays with his friends and stuff like that, he gonna go crazy and do what he want to do. But the law looks at that schoolyard fight when you're 17 versus you 7, two different ways. 7 is like, yo, listen, he's a troubled kid. 17 is like, this motherfucker's an animal. He needs to be put away.
Yeah,
So,
I think you know what? I'm glad. At first I was like, I'm not sure what direction that point was going, but I think you make a valid point, right? And I say that because it's so hard to have this conversation about racial bias in police shootings or police just anything, right? Racism. It's so hard to have these conversations when our culture, in our opinion, is failing, right? So when most of our kids are in single parent households, when most of our kids are born out of wedlock, when most of our kids are reading at third, not even maybe third or fourth reading grade levels, when a lot of our youth have already gone through the school to prison pipeline, when a lot of our people have like, you know what I mean, like when our culture, it just looks bad right now, right? It just looks bad. Like we've even talked about our culture. Like our culture is in crisis right now. I've said that so many times. When we're in a state of crisis with the culture, it's so much harder to have these conversations it's always going to be pointed back to us. It's like, okay, well, listen, y'all don't know how to take care of y'all kids. Y'all don't know how to stay together.
right.
Y'all don't know how to stay married.
Right.
None of y'all kids have nuclear families. None of y'all invest in black businesses. None of you guys are trying to own anything. None of y'all are trying to, you know what I mean? Like, so like when our culture is so, I'm not articulating this point very well. I don't know if I am, but I feel like, but you know what I'm trying to say? Like when we're in this place, it's so much harder for us to be like, no, because the man and the government and the police, and it's just like, but what the hell are y'all doing?
Yeah.
Y'all walking around with your pants sagging,
Yeah.
calling each other bitches and hoes and niggas, and y'all women are just thought pockets and just like
Right.
showing off. You know what I mean? Like they're turning into city girls. Like when so much of our culture is struggling, it makes us look stupid. You know what I mean? And that's why that's why we're in this place now where I'm like, you bring up a valid point. That fatherlessness is huge, and it's just so harder to keep fighting, not defending our people because our woman's gonna fight for our people, but like it's
Yeah.
so hard to have certain conversations when we ain't taking care of business. We're just not.
This is a
We're
crazy
just
thing, right? When you point out the statistics as a black person, they say, yo, you're Uncle Tom. Right? The statistics are the statistics. Now, I'm not talking about like petty crime, like me and G talked about it before, like a little bit of crack or some methamphetamine, whatever it is.
yeah,
But bro, violent crime is violent crime. We know that's wrong.
right,
So there is no, hey, you know what? Like
right.
the issue is this. This is what we gotta contend with, bro. If you just take all black people, right, and take them out of America, put them somewhere else, there's 60% less of violent crime in America, bro. How do you square that?
That's
60% of violent crime is gone.
man. I
I'm a proud black man.
there's
I'm a proud black man. I'm just saying, bro, the numbers are the numbers. It just
I
is what
know.
it is.
I know, bro. There's just a lot to unpack, and I just feel like maybe if we had other like a panel to have this conversation, it would be much more productive because it's a lot to unpack. It's a lot to unpack, bro. Like it looks bad on paper, but I just don't feel like so. Remember, I think we were talking about um all right, there's too many points going through my head.
Right.
I want to add another point to validate what you said, which is like when we're in crisis, we look stupid, right? Well, so when we're talking about police shootings and we're saying Black Lives Matter, but yet we're killing each other in Chicago and in Philly and in New York and all these different places, we're killing each other. It's like, so does Black Lives Matter just when we're killed by police officers? Does it not matter when we're killing each other? Because I'm more likely to be killed by a black person or someone who looks like me
A thousand
than I,
percent. You're
you know
more
what I mean?
likely.
Like
Yeah.
it's much more likely I'm going to be killed by somebody in my neighborhood or in close proximity than a police officer. It's more likely that that's going to happen, right? So it's a lot to unpack, bro. But I just want to be careful because I don't want to make it seem like we're saying that Black people are just born to be criminals or just naturally they have this natural inclination for criminal activity. Like that's not how I feel at all. Because we could talk about policing laws. We can talk about, some people feel like, Black youth have been targeted by certain policies. We can talk about like things like stop and frisk that
Right.
harass minorities. Like there are pockets that we can bring up for examples. But I honestly feel like Black people have a complicated relationship with police and with authority in this country, and it stems from stuff that happened decades ago. It really, we still haven't outgrown it, and I just wish that we would. And until we do, it's hard to have these conversations. But I'm curious to read. I want to read the research. Now that you told me about this, bro, I'm telling you, I'm going to read this research
Right.
and see what people said. It was probably peer reviewed. He said he did it twice and with a different team, and both teams came up with the same results. So I'm like, oh damn, he did the same thing twice and came up with the same, conclusion or whatever theory that there's no racial bias. So I don't know, bro. This one's
I mean,
controversial, man. I want to go so hard for Black folk, but I'm like,
if we have a problem as a group of people, and it wouldn't the first step be admitting that you have the problem? If you always ignore that you have the problem, then it'll never get fixed. And
Yeah,
that's where I approach it from that kind of way. I don't like. I take pride in my people. I take pride in who we are. I take pride in who we've become. But we got a lot of work to do if we're gonna catch up to dominant society. The dominant society meaning white society. Or fuck, listen, Asians outpace white fucking people in this country. So how about this? How about we aim to outpace the Asians in this country, right? And
yeah.
make
Well,
more money than them per capita and all that because they make the most money, right? It's Asian men, then white men, then whatever. Moving forward, right? However, bro, it'll never happen if we just so busy killing each other, robbing each other, taking each other's cars, whatever, all the violent stuff. It'll never happen. So
right.
we gotta admit, like, yo, you know what? Maybe this is a problem, and what can we do to fix it? And if you point to, hey, you know what? The white man got to fix it for us. It'll never happen.
Right.
It's a personal journey. listen, I had opportunities to sell drugs. I'm from the fucking inner city. Motherfuckers came to me when they knew I was going to a white school and was like, yo, here, take this weed, take these pills, go take it to the white kids. I said no. I'm like, bro, I'm not doing that shit. I'm not going to jail. I fear going to jail more than I want to make this money. And it's just and ultimately it was because I wanted to make my grandma proud because my grandma raised me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
well, it's this. There's so many different routes this conversation could go, and I'm trying to keep it like on a simpler path, because it is a very nuanced conversation. But yeah, I gotta read. I mean, let's leave it up to the family. Like, what do you guys think about Professor Fryer's research saying that police shootings have no racial bias? Do you guys think that? Do you guys agree with that? Do you disagree? Um, how do you guys feel about the relationship between, let's say, the black community and like law enforcement now? Has it gotten better? Is it worse? Are we just creating issues where there aren't any? Um, I don't know. This is so much to unpack, bro. I'm just taken aback. Like for real, I'm like, I want to read his research because I'm like, because like I said, I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people that was like, man, the police. Like I'm one of those. I vote. So for me, I'm just kind of like, but I'm definitely curious, bro. But once again, the cultural conversation, we got to do better. Like we have to do better, bro. Like we have to do better, bro. Yeah, that's all I got, man.
right, damn,
This was a very interesting clip. So
right,
we got the brother's name out there. So
what, Fryer, right?
yeah, was it Ryard Fryer? Ronald?
Fryer, that's his name.
No, sorry, Roland.
Roland. I say, is that his name?
Roland G. Fryer Jr. Economist,
Ryard Fryer. I'm like,
professor at
disqualify his
Harvard.
findings, bro. Disqualify his name, Fryer, whatever.
Right. All right, family. Well, listen, like and subscribe. These clips are all going to go up this week, so I'm going to put another plug for this Saturday. We are excited. We're going to go live. We want to go live on Saturday evening, so we're going to keep promoting it. We're going to do some stuff on social media, but another plug. Tyler, let them know we're going to get active Saturday evening. We're going to be here. We'd love for you guys to tune in, to chat, to engage with us live. We'd love to do that.
February 24th. That's what
yes.
Here we go. Let's make it happen.
We're going live. So until next time.
Until next time.